This is a Jaguar XJ-S, one of the longest running models in the history of the British car marque. It was a successor to the very loved and iconic Jaguar E-Type, and as such didn't quite get the reception in 1975 as Jaguar could have hoped for. But in the early 80s, a Scotsman named Tom Walkinshaw entered the picture, turned it into a race car, raised its profile and won some racing success, and that gave the XJ-S a new life, and today, many years later, it's actually being recognized as quite the classic car. But that is not quite why we are here. Turns out this car is now taking on a very exciting new lease of life, and we'll have a look at that. This video is brought to you by Selected Car Investment, where we buy and sell only the best collectible cars. Check our website to see if your next car happens to be in stock, or contact us for off-market cars, or if you want help to find your next investment. This is why we are here, the TWR Supercat. The latest and greatest and most powerful and fastest incarnation of the Jaguar XJ-S. And I did mention it was spectacular, didn't I? Well, there's no other word for it. What a beast of a car. We're here at the TWR workshops, and as the car stands here behind me, it is freshly back from Goodwood Festival of Speed, where it showed its power up the hill, did very well, and also was displayed among a host of other resto mods. And we could actually have chosen any of them as subject for a video on the genre of resto mod and what's that all about. But we did choose this one because it's one of the newest contenders to the stage, one of the most spectacular ones, and we have some of them in build as well. So let's start with the big question. What is a resto mod? Well, I don't think I could find myself anywhere in the world where I can make this explanation more logical. Here we have a Jaguar XJ-S being restored. And over here we have a Jaguar XJ-S that has been modified. Now combine those two and I give you the resto mod. So yes, the TWR Supercat is still a Jaguar XJ-S, but a lot of love, experience, knowledge and technical development has gone into the car to take it to quite another level. As you might recall, the original XJ-S gained a new life when the Scot Tom Walkinshaw developed it into a race car. And it turns out TWR Supercat has a connection to that story. And to explain in detail how you get from the XJ-S to the Supercat, we will have Fergus Walkinshaw himself talking us through his idea of taking the XJ-S to the next level. Well, I'm here with you, Fergus Walkinshaw, and as I said in the beginning, we could have chosen any resto mods of the cars shown at Goodwood, but I chose to focus on this one because this is the only car that has that historical connection from your father and to you. Could you just talk us through how this has does have the spirit of your father in it, so to say?
So there's always been a big desire to relaunch TWR as a brand after it disappeared in the early 2000s. And about 4 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, so we've got together and with our business partner and sort of tried to come up with a plan of how to do that. We were looking at different options for cars. It just kept coming back to Jaguar, because TWR's link with Jaguar over the years, especially the Le Mans win in '88. So the next thing down from that is remembered is the Group A touring cars that did European touring cars in Bathurst with the XJ-S.
You could have chosen any car, well, many cars, because your father also raced many cars and developed many cars. By public demand, this became the subject of choice. And I think you did brilliant in especially the engine. We'll get back to that. in detail because that's a big part of this. But you could have chosen to do a sort of continuation of the race cars your father did. But you didn't. You went quite another route. And now you're firmly into restomod territory. How did that process go along?
I mean, we kind of set out that we knew that the project we wanted to build was going to be a road car and not a race car. And we didn't just want to build something that looked like a race car but had a lot less substance, and it was more all sort of visuals and no performance. So we didn't really want to go down the sort of recreation of a race car route. From that, when we started getting into the XJ-S and evaluating each area on the suspension, the engine, we found loads of areas that we went, hang on a minute, we can really improve this and make it something special, because we're not limited by strict motorsport regulations that say, you know, you must fall within this window. You can kind of, as long as you can make it, you know, safe and perform well on the roads, you can kind of do what you want. So we were really unrestricted on what we could do, and that's how we've almost got probably a little bit carried away and and gone through the car in every single area and improved it to as much as we can. We actually started on the mechanicals and the running gear well before we decided on an exterior design.
Also because of your own background, right? As I understand from the mechanical technical background, that's your area.
Yes.
That's a good place to start, right?
Yeah, my background's always been in engineering and performance on race cars.
Yeah. But obviously you didn't stop there. There's some steps between tuning the car and ending up with this. So the next steps, how did they come along?
So we got into the development of the project and got the running gear sort of on the first revision and working. And then it came to, I think we're going to need somebody to style the car. And there were a few designers we looked at, but our first choice was Khyzyl Saleem, who actually at the time hadn't done a full vehicle design for the road. Along with him, alongside Magnus Walker, worked together to come up with a design concept, which is, after a few revisions, what you see in front of us here.
Yeah, and that's an interesting combination. A car designer that hadn't designed a car and a clothing designer, which obviously Magnus Walker has been modifying Porsche for many years. So what did he contribute to this car, for example, if anything specific?
Magnus works as design consultant, so he's not just on the exterior styling, but also interior and things like when he's come over, he's helped out with sort of ergonomic feel and things like that. So it's hard to pinpoint any one thing, but it's almost like a design sounding board. You throw designs at him and he goes, yeah, this, that, the other, that'll work, that won't. And yeah, he's been a massive help on the project.
Yeah, and again, there was a lot of design freedom, because basically, as with some other resto mods, there's not much of the original bodywork left, is there?
No, the only two panels on the car which are the original steel is front scuttle and the same panel on the rear. Every other body panel is carbon fibre.
Yeah, and that gave the designer a lot of freedom to style the car. And now I saw how the car was received at Goodwood when it's not the first time it's been publicly shown, but probably one of the biggest scenes where it was shown. And you were stood between the other resto mods. And well, yeah, let me hear it from you, Fergus. What did people say about this design?
I mean, the reception we've received has been incredibly good. It's way more positive response than we've ever expected to get. Yeah. Because of the styling, we're a little bit out there and quite extreme. We knew it was.
You said it.
It's almost what they call a Marmite car. So you either love it or hate it, but yeah, the love seems to massively outweigh the hate.
Yeah, yeah, and spectacular is not too big a word for it at all. But still, what I also like is that the original XJ-S is quite an elegant, well-resolved shape. And this one does still have it, actually, in the proportions. But then again, you turned it up to 11, as I guess. Oh, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that in this context. But anyway, you also took the car up the hill, and that was quite interesting. Not all of the restomods did that, actually. But you chose to take the car up the hill, and it didn't do too badly, did it?
No, it went really well. I wanted to show that the car is actually, it works, it performs, and it can deliver. It's not just sort of an ornament that sits there looking beautiful. It actually goes, and it can hold its own against.
Yeah, I think it went 11th fastest in the shootout, didn't it? And that's among some company.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough competition. The original XJ-S was a super tourer, a GT car. It was quite a softie, actually. And not until your father turned up the volume and turned it into a race car did it get more of a sporty image. So where did you put this car? Because it does look beastly. It does look dangerous, and it does look very fast. But is it still drivable at all? What were your ideas?
Yeah, so from day one we set out that it can't be like a track car that is, okay, it might be road legal, but you really don't want to drive it on the roads. It needed to work on the roads just as well. I think the analogy we always used was you should be able to jump in the car, drive down to the south of France, but if you want to stop off a racetrack on the way and do a few laps, it'll still manage that and keep on going. So we've got active electronic dampers on the car, which have 5 different positions of adjustment. So you can go from full comfort to full track mode, and there's a big range of adjustment there. We've also worked on getting a huge amount of space in the boot for luggage, which is actually significantly more than what the standard car had.
More than the standard car had?
Yeah, so we've added this cut through between the boot area and the cockpit, which has increased the luggage capacity.
Yeah, that's great. And we're slowly getting more and more towards talking about the engine. I'm actually thinking, should we?
Yeah.
So there it is, 5.3 liters originally, V12, and you still stick to using the same block.
Yeah, so it starts life as the 5.3 out of the donor vehicle, and we retain the original block and cylinder head castings. Then a lot of the engine's then reworked. So the block gets remachined for different main caps for stability and different liners. The cylinder heads, the combustion chamber is remachined for a better burn, a better performance. There's an entirely new valve train, lighter valves, double valve springs, billet camshafts. We then supercharge the engine.
And that's one of the big secrets, so to say, about this engine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that gets us from the original car, depending on which year, we've had between 280 and 300 horsepower. We are putting out 660 horsepower, 720 newton meters of torque, and we're now redlining at 7,750.
Your father would have dreamt of a red line like that, wouldn't he? And power figures like that, and still, it's also still a smooth, because it's a V12. This car has an engine like, well, no other restomod really, and that engine has a special character. It was quite obvious at Goodwood that now it's much more fierce than it ever was in the road-going XJ-Ss. But is it still drivable? As it's something else now.
Yeah, that was another thing. Again, like the suspension, we wanted to make sure the car had good road manners. So at lower RPMs, cruising around town or on the motorway, it's mild-mannered, it's easy to drive. But once you get your foot down and get above about 4,000 RPM, it really starts to scream.
And the sound. I think at this point we should put in some sound bites of the car running up the hill at Goodwood, because that really makes the hairs on your back stand. That it's a scream. I've never heard anything from a Jaguar V12 like the original single cam engine like this. So how on earth did you manage that?
We've got a highly tuned exhaust system on the car, fully equal length manifolds, and then run down either side and exit on the side exits.
Yeah, and side exit, obviously your father's race car had that, but there's a special reason this car, it actually had to have side exits, right?
Yeah, so for two reasons actually, this car had to have side exits. The first being with the revised suspension, going to a multi-link rear suspension, there was then not the space to get the exhaust through. It would also have upset the aerodynamics in the rear diffuser by adding the exhaust system there. So yeah, it's a big benefit in that regard to bring it out the side.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess now when you look down this engine bay, again, it doesn't look like any other, because I think you struck a different balance between carbon and traditional aluminium machining, like quite obvious in the plenums. A lot of other restomod manufacturers would choose something more modern looking like carbon, but I guess, did you use up all the carbon for the bodywork? How was that? Or is it on purpose?
Yeah, it's kind of on purpose. It's using the right materials in the right places, but not over-speccing things, not using carbon just for the sake of it. It's trying to get the best performance without any kind of compromise or adding additional processes without any need to. It's about efficiency as well.
Yeah. Well, the car's exterior is spectacular, but I always like a car with a good interior as well. So maybe we should just check out if you managed to get that right.
Yeah.
I guess the obvious answer is you did. What were your thoughts here? Because again, it's a balance between original XJ-S style and updating it to the rest of world and expectations.
Yeah, so it is a full brand new interior. The only carryover parts from the standard car are the door handles. So it's bespoke to this car. We did a lot of work on the driving position. The standard cars, the driving position is quite cramped and the driver sits quite far forward. If you're actually holding the steering wheel on the standard car, you sort of move your hand, you can touch the windscreen. So we've brought everything backwards and down, which gets the driver a lot more central in the car. That also gives a lot more legroom, because anyone over about 5'6", they felt cramped in a stock car. When our designer for the exterior is 6'9", it's important that he'd be able to fit in the car.
And amazingly, actually, it's not obvious that you made such large changes on the basic design. It did not occur to me until you told me. And still you managed to get the aesthetics quite right as well. Now, in this car, in this color, this is very much how Magnus Walker wanted it, right?
Yeah, so this car in particular the specification was done by Magnus.
Not too shabby, I must say.
Yes,
but
totally nice.
Another feature is, well, it says so on the tin, this is still a prototype. So how close are we to the final end product here?
So yeah, this is the prototype. This was the first time we'd ever put the full package together. So we'd had our mule, which you've probably seen in the background, which has been running about 1.5 years now, with all the running gear and drivetrain in to do endurance and reliability testing. But yeah, this car is the first time we put the bodywork and the interior together with that package. From this, we've learned a lot on to fit and finish in certain areas and just where things need adjusting and tweaking. Got another prototype coming very soon, which will have ironed out all of those issues. Once we've verified with that we're happy with the product, we'll be able to push on into customer builds.
Yeah. And there's a finite number to that as well, where you will end up with a number of build cars.
Yeah, we're only building 88 cars, which is to celebrate the 1988 Le Mans win with Jaguar.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough how much we're looking forward to receiving ours, Fergus. But it will be some time yet. Well, I can't. It might not be the last visit here in your workshops. We are following the process quite, tight, and I'm looking forward to the final product. But
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for extending to have take your time to see us here shortly after Goodwood. Big success for you. I guess you got a lot of new work out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, best of luck with the product, and we're looking forward to see the next finished car.
Thank you.
This is obviously the finished product, but how did it get so far? Let's rewind to 1981. First of all, you must find yourself a donor XJ-S. That car must be from 1981 up until 1991. The important thing is that it must feature the HE version of the V12, the high efficiency engine that is best suited to become a proper supercat. That donor vehicle will then be brought into the bay behind me, where it will be taken completely apart. And completely also means that it is not as important as you'd think, whether the car is European or American, left-hand drive or right-hand drive, manual or automatic. It will be ending up as a bare shell and then build up to become the supercat. That lovely V12 engine in the XJ-S showed to have a lot of development potential, as first seen when Tom Walkinshaw developed it into a race engine up until 450 horsepower or something. And that block is still the same block used in the supercat. Of course, completely refinished, but still up to the job of developing over 600 horsepower. Again, as with the shell, everything is taken completely apart and rebuilt, and most of the jobs done in-house here at TWR. Here we are in the body shop, and this is where the car will end up when it is finally fully dismantled. And at that stage it will not look anything like this, because this car has been chemically cleaned. Interesting, it's not sandblasted, but a chemical process is used to get the body to this stage. Here you will also discover imperfections to the body shell, and they will be repaired, and the shell itself will be strengthened with a cage structure. When all of that is done, the final process is to dip the complete assembly once again, and you will end up with a shell that is stronger and better than the original one was from Jaguar. Sub-assemblies such as this front suspension, and I must say this one is out of the development mule, so has seen thousands of test kilometers. The finished real items will look brand spanking new. They will be fitted to the lift here. That will go over under the lift here, where the finished body shells will arrive, and the two will be mated to arrive at a car that actually drives. The beautiful bespoke leather interior of the supercat is currently trimmed outside of the facilities, but as the TWR project is also developing, they are working towards being able to trim a cabin in-house as well. And everything will then end up looking something like this. Very much like this, in fact, or even, I should say, probably better, because this is still a prototype, the first fully working prototype in existence. Very shortly there will be a prototype 2, where, as Fergus Walkinshaw explained us, they will incorporate certain small and large improvements. And I can't wait to see that car and maybe even drive it. If you liked this video, please do hit the like button and consider subscribing to our channel as well, and then I'll see you for the next one. Don't worry, old chap, it's going to be your turn soon.